Hello and welcome to another episode of the Tourism Hub podcast, where we explore the latest trends and share actionable insights in the wonderful world of tourism. And today, visitor servicing is what is on the agenda. I'm your host, Despina Karatzias, and we've got an exciting follow-up for this episode to the conversations and the presentation that I delivered at the recent Victorian Visitor Services Summit in the beautiful Victorian region of Ballarat. Before we begin, I'd like to give a huge shout out and standing ovation to my tourism sisters, Catherine McKenzie and Meg Jamieson, along with the incredible leading lady Felicia Mariani and the entire VTIC team for curating such an inspiring program, highlights including a wonderful case study from Mike and his colleague of the way that they do Content Fridays using short form and engaging video content. It's just brilliant. You need to go check out In the Middle of Everywhere on Instagram to see what I mean, and the way that they are doing these funny short reels to showcase a part of their region. I just loved it. And also a shout out to my tourism brother, Paul Matthews, and his collaborator, Sue-Ann Carr. Paul unfortunately couldn't be there, but they did a great study on Victorian Visitor Services. And although Paul couldn't be there, Sue-Ann delivered their findings and did a great presentation also. Speaking of presentations, it was a privilege to return to the summit and deliver a breakout training session on engaging visitors online, where we explored some transformative strategies to enhance how we connect with our audiences in, the digital age. Now, a quick update about my current whereabouts. Although I should be in Mackay, I'm currently in Queensland and I'm actually recording from Brisbane. I was only meant to have like a 40-minute stopover in Brisbane, but let me tell you, it's been quite the adventure. I had over a 6-hour flight from Melbourne to Brisbane, which normally takes, approximately 2 hours. That included a little emergency stopover to refuel at the Sunshine Coast Airport. So flying through the eye of a storm, it felt like, was, I wasn't scared, but I certainly went, I had thoughts that, what if this is the moment? Because when you're seeing lightning through the window of an aircraft, you start to quickly question the soil that that you miss so much at that point. But anyhow, the Qantas staff, the crew, everything was amazing. I never doubted that, we're in the most safest, capable hands and handled it super, super well, despite all of the disruptions and the uncertainty, which is, at the end of the day, that's the industry that we live in and, the world that we live in. So by the time I landed in Brisbane, I'd missed my connecting flight to Mackay, which is where I will be travelling to eventually, to the Australian Regional Tourism Convention, which I'm very, very excited to announce today. It's going to be announced that it's my first real it's exciting. It's really exciting for me, because if I thought of the potential of this podcast and the potential of what I do would land a partnership with a national organisation like the Australian Regional Tourism Network, I would have been a little kinder to myself when I was riddled with self-doubt to hit publish, to go live, and to, it's still not easy, but, looking at this and attracting a wonderful partnership through the Australian Regional Tourism Network, where this podcast will also be featured on collaboratively. You'll see more guests every month that will be dedicated to the network, the art network, affectionately known around the traps in Australia. It's exciting. So then I'll be delivering a brand new training session this week, later in the program on the Friday, on combining how to use AI. I know we're all a bit sick of talking about AI, but I have really worked hard to deliver a 45-minute presentation on how to humanize your AI content, but also how to use it to effectively create optimized content, not just, it's not a set and forget, unfortunately. So anyway, looking forward to that. Still got to put the finishing touches on that one. But that's what I'm here for. That's why you'll see I'm not in my studio. I'm in transit, looking a bit worse for wear, because I really feel like I'm traveling internationally with, unknown. And I can only get on a flight later in the afternoon. Oh, I digress. Exciting things happening. I'm just grateful to be traveling and working and seeing more of my brothers and sisters from around the country at the convention. I digress, but back to the topic of visitor servicing. And just before we continue, if you're tuning in and thinking, well, I don't service visitors because I'm not a visitor information centre, I urge you to stick around because everybody in the business of visitor economy, I think if anything, go and drop in, visit. I talk to a lot of businesses, encouraging them to make themselves known to the local visitor information centre, because if we're talking ambassadors, this is it. These passionate local, and many are volunteers as well, are being asked and are servicing a lot of visitors in these regional destinations. But the principles we're discussing today, they're really not just for visitor servicing. In fact, they're not even just for the tourism sector. They apply to any industry where you engage with people. And what is a business without customers? Just like what is a destination without visitors? So whether you're in retail, hospitality, or any customer-facing business, these insights, I'm hoping I come with you with the intent to help you elevate your customer service A game, to win in servicing. Because like I say, and this is backed by research, customer service in Australia, I just have to ask you the question. I don't want to be, there's just the kind of surprise, delight, wow factor. And research shows that we're not there. We've got to lift. And what a great industry to be aware and take the lead. So we're not delivering meh experiences. Like that meh emoji. We want to be delivering excellence every time, intentional service. So let's get right into it. At the summit in Ballarat, my training session was laser focused on the theme of engaging visitors online, because it's not. I just feel, and again I backed it with my own research, that we are not seeing the same. It's one or the other, or not respecting the online servicing to be on the same par, if not just as important. So we explored how modern visitor expectations are rapidly evolving and why it's critical to treat digital interactions with the same importance and priority as face-to-face connections and interactions and conversations. One of the biggest takeaways from that session was the idea that an Instagram DM or a Facebook message should be treated with the same respect as a visitor who walks into your visitor information centre or your business. This is about creating a seamless, welcoming experience across all touch points, whether it's digital or physical. The same level of care and attention should always apply, because in today's world, your online presence often serves as the first impression, the first point of contact with your visitors or your customers. We discussed how digital transformation is not just an upgrade, it's a shift in mindset. It's about understanding that your Visitor Information Centre isn't just a place, it's a brand that lives in both the digital and physical realms. This concept of blending online engagement with traditional servicing strategies is essential for creating memorable visitor experiences. Now let's dive deeper into the practical strategies that we covered. Drawing from an Alberta Visitor Services model that dear Catherine McKenzie, my queen, I call her queen, and I can't wait. We're scheduling, she'll be on this podcast soon. This particular study, which I'll share with her permission, it's public, so I can share it. I'll share it if you want to take a look. We talked about how to move beyond the traditional approaches and embrace a multi-channel strategy for visitor servicing. The focus here is to engage visitors proactively, meeting them where they are, whether that's on social, chat services, or directly through your digital real estate, your website. During the training, we highlighted the importance of personalisation in all online interaction. During the training, we highlighted the importance of personalisation in online interactions. A simple touch like addressing your visitors by name or remembering their past interactions with you can significantly impact their experience. We also discussed response times. Best practice guidelines suggest aiming to respond to emails that should be within 24 hours, direct messages within a few hours, like 2 to 3, and chat inquiries within just a couple of minutes. I'm going to repeat that again. Pause this, write it down. That when it comes to best practice guidelines, research suggests aiming to respond to emails within 24 hours, direct messages within a few, I would say probably even a less of a window, 1 to 2 hours, and chat inquiries within just a couple of minutes. Speed is crucial when it comes to online engagement. The business, the centre that responds the fastest is going to get the cookie, is going to get the work, is going to be the one that's going to impress and surprise and delight. To prepare and research for this training, I did it. I put myself in the visitor's shoes, and I encourage everyone to do the same. Do that with your organisation. Have someone reach out to you. Do a secret shopper on yourself. I reached out to a handful of visitor information centres, and I want to be happy to report good news. Unfortunately, it was quite dismal. We need to do better. It's a reminder to leverage things like automation responses, remembering that the automation is not the response, but at least you're having a quick touch point to use technology to help you accelerate and let your people know, let your visitor know, I got you, thank you, I'll be with you in a minute. That's what the automation does, but it's not the response. And you have to go ahead and serve your inquiries at, remember that window within that 1 to 2 hours, not 10 days, which was one of the scenarios. And another scenario was no days, no automation, no response, because no one's looking at it. So setting all those notifications up and not leaving your customers unheard and undelivered, like the kids say on the Snapchat. So what was dismal was the lack of response and the lack of, the real delay, the delayed response. This digital first approach is not only relevant to VICs, but can also be applied universally. As mentioned earlier, whether you're responding to a customer inquiry in retail or handling a booking request in hospitality, these principles hold true. It's all about being present, it's all about being responsive and being genuinely interested in creating a positive experience for your audience, for your visitors, when your visitor is always always going to be online first, unless, of course, for visitor information centres, which I've seen it with my own eyes, they're just walking past and they do a drop-in. That's the type of service we want to deliver online. Now, if you're listening and you're not directly involved with a visitor information centre, this is a reminder for us all. The same principles that we discussed at the summit apply to any customer interaction, whether you're in retail, whether you're in education, whether you're in healthcare, or any service industry. It doesn't matter. The expectation for timely, personalised service is universal. In any industry, your digital communication is a representation of your brand. When a customer sends you a message, it's not just a query. It's an opportunity to create an experience first at that point, to create that lasting impression. Just like visitors who look for authentic experiences, your customers, your visitors are seeking meaningful interactions. So the next time you receive an Instagram DM or a chat inquiry, think of it as a person walking into your store, into your office, or calling you, making an inquiry. How would you greet them? What impression do you want to leave with them? You definitely will not ignore someone that's walked into your place of business. So it's not, how is that different if we're leaving a genuine, authentic inquiry on a social media platform completely ignored? That's the message here, to rethink servicing in our visitor information centres and in our tourism businesses. As discussed earlier, we emphasize, and I can't emphasize enough, the use of automation is incredibly useful to handle those initial touch points effectively without losing that personal touch or losing that opportunity to respond quickly. Chatbots and AI-driven tools can be incredibly powerful for managing basic inquiries. However, always ensure that a human is ready to step in when needed, adding that warmth, that empathy, that local knowledge to the interaction. So the automated response is not the response. Really, really important. To wrap up, we need to discuss the future of visitor information centres and the future of our visitor information centre ambassadors and the humans of visitor servicing, and how we can empower to make more than just physical spaces. Empower our people to create a holistic delivery of service, online as well as offline. Same is the message. During the summit, we discussed these transitioning VICs from simple information hubs to dynamic experience centres, imagining places where visitors can not only get information, but also book their accommodation, plan their touring, and even engage in immersive virtual experiences. Alberta's visitor services model showcases this and how VICs can lead the way in adopting digital innovations. We discussed how technologies like AI, virtual reality, and big data can be leveraged to create customized visitor experiences beyond the usual. The key takeaway, though, is that there's so much at our fingertips that's free and available and can make an impact that's not being used. Let's start there. Let's start simple. And using this technology not to replace the human interaction, but to enhance, to ignite, to amplify it, making our services more efficient, more engaging, and more accessible, making ourselves more accessible to our visitors and our customers. I think I'm going to stop it there. And that brings us to the end of today's episode of the Tourism Hub podcast. I do hope you found these insights from the Victorian Visitor Information Services Summit and from my training session, which I've spent most of the time unpacking here, on engaging visitors online valuable, not just for the tourism industry, but for any sector that aims to elevate customer experiences. A big thank you to everyone who joined me in my session at the summit. Your passion, your commitment to innovation are what will keep driving our industry forward. And for those who couldn't make it, don't worry. The content from both my sessions, including combining AI with human intelligence, will soon be available as self-paced courses on the Institute of Excellence and soon on the Australian Regional Tourism Hub also, which we'll be talking more in coming episodes. So these training sessions will be made accessible to anybody, and I'll let you know when they go live. Now, before you go, I do have a teeny favor to ask. If you're tuning in and watching this episode on YouTube, or you're listening from your favorite podcast platform, please do me a solid and hit that subscribe button. If you enjoy what you're listening to, if you could leave a review, it will mean the absolute world, and for all of you that I just see the numbers of who's listening, and like I said, it just keeps me showing up and scouring the industry to bring you leaders and legends and innovators and entrepreneurs to share with you. And I've got real exciting ones that are coming up. So yes, I'll be internally grateful. And your subscribes and reviews, they're kind of a big deal with these things. And the support really does mean the world to me, and what keeps this podcast going strong and allows us to continue. Thank you, big love. Keep inspiring, keep igniting your excellence and the excellence of others around you. Until next time, my friends, my name's Despina Karatzias, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.